Welcome to Becoming Fearless, the personal growth podcast for you if you are ready to overcome fear and step into your greatness. Our purpose is to help you overcome your limits, have loads of fun along the way, unlocking your fullest potential in life, business, health and relationships every single day. I'm your host, Charlotte Carter, a high-performance coach and entrepreneur with over 20 years experience. I've supported many highly driven, talented people like you who dream big and are ready to take action to overcome what's holding them back. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing hacks and habits on how to build self-belief, courage and confidence to master your mindset and navigate your emotions so that you can reach your human potential in a way that feels light, fun and easeful and helps you become fearless. Let's go. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Becoming Fearless. I am really excited today, like I am with all my episodes. This is a guest one. Let me just tell you a little bit of backstory about me, how I and Alison met each other, because it was very, very recent. And you know when you just meet some people and you're like, they're my sort of people. I get where they are. I get what they're passionate about. I get how they are so successful. I get just their energy. I also get all of the other things that come alongside that. When you just meet people, you're like, they are in my gang. It was a bit like that. So there was an opportunity for me to go to a big event where one of my clients was speaking and I wanted to go and support them. It was total last minute and I needed to get myself a ticket. And I was like, I need to find a ticket. I need to find a space where there's a ticket for sale on one of the tables. And that's what happened. Alison had a ticket available on her table and I literally came along. I rocked up late to the event and I was like, where are you? I don't know what you look like. Where's the table? And that's where it started. That's where it all started. So Alison, let people know a little bit about who you are, what you do and what you were doing at that event actually.
So where do I start? That was a really good introduction. So Alison Goodwin, business consultant, and I specialise in operations, strategy and growth. And the event that you're talking about, we were actually, we had a table and I was actually speaking at the event talking about how to lose $1 million. True story based on some of the clients I work with. So literally nothing special. It's just I literally focus on helping clients with operations, strategy and growth. Really simple. No fancy net titles or anything like that.
Let's just unpick that nothing special. Well, it is quite special if you've helped somebody, like work out how they could save money and how they could prevent some of these gaps. This talk that Alison did, it was like so phenomenally received. Lots of people have, approached you, want to be in your world, want to work with you off the back of it because the message was so strong. And so many people are unaware of the kind of things that you talked about in that particular talk. Some people were just, it's the classic of you don't know what you don't know, isn't it?
Yeah, I think one of the things with the talk we wanted to do was to highlight to people what they could do to protect the business, but also what was really interesting sort of after the talk was the amount of people, like you say, that came up and were like, oh my God, you were speaking to me. I had no idea. You've made me realise I need to completely relook at my business. My business is exposed. And the talk was about just making people aware because, as you say, you don't know what you don't know. So for us, it was really, really well received, really well received. Shocking as well. I think people found that, I think during the talk I talked about how I had to write off 1.26 million for one of the clients that I work with, but then we went on to sell his company for 30 million. So, but everything that was in that talk was relevant to the larger businesses and the smaller businesses as well. So it was really well received.
It was. And if we talk about fear in terms of the people that were listening to that talk, because I was sitting on the table, your team are super supportive. Everything was like full on cheerleading and people's faces in the audience, because obviously me being a high performance coach, I watch a lot of people interaction. I watch a lot of people's body language, their energy, a million and one things. So there's all this love and support from your team going, yay, go, go, go. They're all there, honestly, like with their heart in their mouth, like hoping that you're going to deliver everything that you promised and you absolutely nailed it. But the other people who didn't know what you were going to talk about, their fear was like literally seen on their faces. It was like that massive, like, jaw-dropping, whoa, I need to talk to Alison about this, this and this, and I'm embarrassed, I'm shameful, and it was 1,000,001 fears in an audience. I'm sure you must have seen that when you were looking out, weren't you? That like the faces dropped.
At one stage, it was like you could hear a pin drop. And I looked up and I remember thinking to myself, have I got this really wrong? Because I was just like, literally, I was so worried about being on that stage, as you know, because I suffer with glossophobia anyway. I was more worried about being on the stage. And at one point I looked up and I just thought, have I got this wrong? And I just looked and everybody was staring at me. And like you say, you could see like people taking pictures. They were like, literally, I've never experienced anything like that before. And I know the feedback I had from the event was you could hear a pin drop when you were talking. But I just thought, I've got it wrong. That was what's going through my head. And when I looked up, they were taking pictures. They were like, literally, you could just see it on their faces. You're absolutely right. It was this fear and this almost holy shit moment. I have not got this in my own business. So that was the refreshing part.
And it's so interesting because there's like a massive reflection moment. And I talk about reflection in high performance in that you're looking out to the sea of people who've got all this fear and they're having this, holy shit, have I got this? And you're standing on the stage looking at them thinking, holy shit, have I got this? In like a completely different way, in a very different way, both experiencing different fears.
Yeah, absolutely. I did. I mean, literally, I looked out and then I thought, okay, they're taking pictures. It must be a good thing that they're taking notes. And then I just couldn't wait to get off the stage quickly enough because it was like, okay, I've done my speech now. I've done the talk. I need to get off the stage. And then I was just mobbed afterwards as I got off the stage.
You were. And it was awesome. But let's talk about this stage fear briefly before we talk about some other things. How did you navigate that whole journey for yourself? How did you basically use your inner grit and determination to get on that stage? What steps did you take, as well as the support?
Obviously, I had the support of the event. And obviously I knew sort of the person that ran the event anyway as a friend. So she knew that fear. We worked on it prior to going onto the stage. Frankly, I also had counselling. I was kind of like, look, if I'm going to do this, I need to be mentally prepared. Yep. But there was also a part of me that was just, this has been a fear that's been there for 20 plus years. And it stems back to being, I was a high, many moons ago before I actually did this, I was a top performing sales manager. So I was constantly on the winner's stage, probably for about 15 years. So they'd always try to get me on the stage. And it got to the stage in that business that they would never tell me when the winners and the awards were going to be presented because they knew that I would find a way to exit the room so I didn't have to go on stage. So the fear goes back 20 years. So for me, it was really important that I prepared mentally. And you can imagine, as with what you do, it's hard. It's really hard when it's that ingrained to find a way through. But there was part of me, and we'll talk about I guess the fear side later, but there's part of me that the fear is always going to be here. I've just got to do it. So it's kind of like that pivotal moment came for me where it was like, my message is greater than my fear. I just have to do it. And I'm told it just gets easier. For me, it doesn't every single time. So that's how I navigate.
So
on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think fear is on a daily basis. So if anybody wants to know a little bit about how fear shows up, there's an episode called What is Becoming Fearless? But ultimately, what Alison says is exactly right in that it's always going to be there. I talk about you having to be able to walk with your fear. You have to be able to carry on walking alongside your fear, and you have to be able to shine brighter than your fear. That's the ultimate aim. That's where we want to get to. We're never going to, becoming fearless is about being able to step into that space. And what happens the more you do it, fear shrinks and you shine. That's how it works. The energy for you is bigger than the fear. When you're going through something like Alison has, and you have to dig deep, and a hats off to do something like that. Hats off to anybody that conquers any deep-rooted fear, because you have to unlearn a million and one things. Then you're very exposed, you're very vulnerable, and then you have to relearn this new pattern of being that just doesn't feel like you because it's not been you for 20 odd years or however long you've had it. And so it's all a whole uncomfortable, vulnerable, and then you get to the place. And what I would say for you is you will experience the fear in a different guise now. It will never be as intense as that one because it's the first time you've done it. But because that was so well received, now the bar's up again. So now it's like the fear now is, will I be able to deliver as good as I did then? Will I be able to then hold the room? Will a pin drop again in the next time? So there's just it just takes on a different guise. It's walking with you again, and it's how to navigate that next guise. But nothing's going to feel as big as this one because this was like a deep-rooted,
self-reflection as well. It's that self-reflection side of things, because to me, I can't remember much of that talk, even though it was delivered, because I was so in the moment with the fear. And it's even now, I look back at it, knowing that it was well received. I look back at that and think, oh my God, I could have done something better. It's human nature. There's always something you could do better. The way the way I work, it's how can I improve? How can I improve? But that's not necessarily healthy either. So it's just having that, being self-aware and knowing that you are doing that, and that's probably part of the process. But
part of the process, in terms of positive psychology, let's just touch on that. So I always say with people when they've gone through a big fear like that, you've got to habit stack it with something absolutely brilliant. So when you conquer that, it's like like an invitation for you is to watch that back and go, what are 10 awesome things I did on that stage? A, I basically raised the bar with everybody's faces around, highlighting what the fear is. B, I conquered my own fear, till you get to 10, and then sit with that, because there's another fear around that. That's a fear of being so great. That's a fear of your greatness. And so they're all intertwined. And I think reflection is so key, isn't it? It's so key on all of these journeys. And acceptance is the next piece. Reflection and acceptance.
It's ever growing and ever evolving, I think, is the thing I'm becoming very aware of. It's never going to be a completed piece, ever. And I say that to clients, you're never going to be complete. You're always going to be moving towards being complete, but you never get.
Exactly. And this is why I am just called it becoming fearless is exactly that. And I say to people, they say, how can you have nailed this, and this? And I'm like, because I'm forever the student. I've learned loads of things. I've learned loads of things about how to work on your mindset, your energy, your action, your habits, your behavior, your performance. But I'm forever the student. There's always things to learn, and there's always reflection pieces, and there's always deeper fears. So thank you for sharing that one. Let's move you on from that one, because that was, with the fears come the uncomfortable. Let's talk about some good stuff. That was good stuff. Let's talk about the word integrity. So much of your business and so much of my business and so much of a lot of my clients' business, and there's so many really fabulous businesses out there that I feel are threaded with integrity. They really are. I can see them very clearly. Just like I can see the ones that I feel, and it's super personal, that aren't quite threaded with integrity. And it's something like a bit of a buzzword. People say, it's one of their values and all this kind of thing. And then sometimes it doesn't look exactly as people perceive it to be. So should we dive deep into your version, your description, this whole topic of integrity?
I think, as you know, integrity for us is absolutely everything within the business. So integrity for us is it's how we conduct ourselves with our clients. It's what we're prepared to tolerate. It's what we will accept, what we won't accept within the business. But it's deeper. I see the space that we are privileged to be in, as you've just touched on. There are people who claim to operate with integrity, but absolutely have no integrity at all, in my opinion. So let's put that caveat in there. When we started all those years ago, we've never changed how we operate as a business. It's always been, and we've become known for operating with integrity as a business. That's we don't always do what's best for our business. We do what's best for our client. We put the client first. I think I touched in the talk, last year alone, we turned down £640,000 worth of business. This year so far, £320,000 worth of business. Now, there aren't a lot of businesses out there that will do that, but we've done it because there is an integrity mismatch, as in those businesses that have wanted to work with us maybe haven't or aren't operating in the way that we would want to be perceived, or the whole integrity piece, I think, is woven throughout that. But integrity for us, it's absolutely the core of everything we do, everything. And I don't see that a lot in the online space. People are always going for the money, the 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K, whatever the new norm is, months. They're going for the money at the cost of absolutely everything. The cost of the clients, the cost of the projects, the cost of the results, the cost of their own personal sanity in some respects. Everyone's hustling. Integrity for us is, it's if you cut the team in half, they would bleed it, absolutely. And I think it's also part of the culture that we have within the business. So yes, integrity is the buzzword, and everybody wants to operate with integrity, but it's so much more. It's fully focusing on your customers, focusing on the customer journey, the customer experience, the customer satisfaction, at the cost of everything else. So long as, and the caveat here is, there are some things that you can't tolerate or won't tolerate as a business, and you've got to put your boundaries in place. But integrity, it's the single thing that clients feed back to us on, that we will put the client first, and they feel safe, they feel nurtured, they feel that they're in the right place. We're not just going to give the clients or our clients the advice we think they want to hear. Even if it's the difficult conversations, then we will have those difficult conversations. So it's not just the integrity as a word doesn't cover everything. It leads into so much more for us. But that's an overview and a snapshot, I guess.
Yeah. And I think for me, I kind of switch, because integrity is just loaded, isn't it? Like we say, with so many other things,
Yeah,
it is a big word. I kind of, in the conversations that I have with people, and, all the repeat business that I keep getting, and that's how I've grown my business, for people keep coming back because of that safety, that integrity. For me, I look at it in terms of relationships. So when we're looking at the customer, the client, the journey, the service, I look at what's your high-performing relationship that you're having, with yourself, because that's the work that I do with people. So I've got to be on my top form myself to be able to be in integrity with myself. That's the most powerful relationship you have. And then how can you create this relationship with your clients that actually meets all of the needs? And it's like it's a dance, isn't it? It's a dance of you holding yourself in the space. You, like you have openly said, turning down the ones that aren't in that dance with you. Those ones that just aren't aligned. They're never going to be. Then there's not going to be some tweaks where they suddenly can be. They're just not. And it's being brave enough and courageous enough and being fearless enough. That's something you've totally nailed. Being fearless enough, because some people listening will go, oh my goodness, I should have said no to that client because they're not quite right. Or I should have listened to my intuition. I should have leaned in. Some people definitely say that to me. They're in that space where, not necessarily that they haven't done what they should in their head think was right. It's that they haven't leaned into themselves as to what they stand for and their values.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's integrity with self and integrity with others. I see it as two categories. You've got to be able to have internal integrity. And it's interesting. I think I talked in the talk, and you've just hit the nail on the head. 100% of our business is referral, and it's referral because of the integrity. I have no doubt about it. It's because people feel held and they feel nurtured. But going back to what you've just said, integrity with self and integrity with others, I don't think you can have integrity with others unless you learn to centre and have that integrity with yourself. I think that's when I say to clients, you've got to centre with yourself first before you can impact and make the impact you want to create with others.
It's exactly the same parallel, exactly the same. So let's talk about customer care. Let's talk about the whole concept of what customer care looks like for you, and what it doesn't look like. Because sometimes for some people listening, they'll be like, yeah, well, I think I've got great customer care. And everyone's always on a learning curve, like we've always touched on. People can always improve this, I feel, because it's ultimately things change. They can always keep this at the very best that they can deliver, because they're going to change in themselves.
There's a whole piece on this on its own with customer care. I think that customer care, people just think it's how you deliver, but it's the experience, it's the feeling, it's the whole piece, it's what you create for your customer. But it's even down to, internally how you want to be perceived as a business. So for us, all of our customers know that, don't forget the customer journey, because that's not the right thing to say, but it's not just about the outward perception of customer care. Customer care is the lifeblood of absolutely every business. But you've got to have your internal customer care processes and how you deal with your customers. It depends what industry you're in as well. Customer care for us means, and I touched on it earlier on, it's not being afraid to have those difficult conversations, but also nurturing that and holding the customers as they come through and work with us. And there are different ways to work with us. So it depends whether it's one-to-one, or maybe they're doing some online learning. Maybe it's, they've got a team that are outsourced into their business. It's different in each of those scenarios. But for us, customer care's, God, I don't think we'd have a business without the customer care that we provide. I think I'd go so far as to say that, coupled with the integrity. I think customer care for us as a brand, like I say, it's having those difficult conversations, not being afraid of having difficult conversations, which a lot of people are, because with what we do, you and I, we're dealing with individuals who are peak performance. They're at high level, high stress levels as well, and things are missed, and not being afraid to have those conversations and sort of say, look, you're not actually quite getting this right. If somebody isn't turning up as a leader in their business, that still forms part of the customer care for me, because we're trying to get them to the stage that they can lead the business and can provide the level of customer care that they need. Customer care is so loaded for me because, like I say, it's process driven, it's based on values within your business. There's a whole piece there for me, a whole piece.
Let's talk a little bit about the fear that comes up for people, like you've just touched on, the people who are scared to have those difficult conversations, when actually, I feel personally, those difficult conversations is where all the growth is. So it's something that I always encourage clients to work out. What is it? What's the fear that's sitting behind that? Have you experienced any fear yourself in terms of having those difficult conversations, or has it been something that's quite natural for you?
Natural. I am the person that the team will come to, or with clients if they are experiencing problems within the business and they have difficult conversations to have. I'm the queen of those difficult conversations. I don't sugarcoat it, never have and never will. I don't sugarcoat it with the boards of directors that I work with, the corporates. I don't sugarcoat it with the small businesses. They get the same level of service, the same level of respect, honesty, transparency that anybody would get. So the difficult conversations aren't hard for me. I've always been the difficult conversations for me have always been very natural. I have no problem, telling a business owner that they're not leading in the business, that their offers, the products or the services aren't hitting the market, that they've not provided the right level of customer care, so they're not retaining their customers. I've got no problem having those difficult conversations. I've got no problems. Just as the instance with the company that lost the 1.26 million, can you imagine the difficult conversations there? It's, you've got incorrect advice, you've not got your contracts in place, you're not leading your team, like those conversations, and then having to do that with boards of directors and investors. They're difficult conversations, but for some reason I always tend to I quite enjoy those conversations.
I was just going to say, I bet there's loads of people listening going, oh my God, I need Alison in my life. I do need Alison, because a lot of the people that will listen to my podcast have fear of judgment. They have fear of rejection. They have fear of confrontation. They have fear of being seen, heard, 1,000,001 fears that actually prevent them from having these. So
how to
go on,
crossover.
I was going to say
go on. You go.
I was going to say, we could talk for hours. It's all right. I am going to ask Alison back for another podcast. But I was going to say, just on that touch, because on that point of when somebody is in their strengths, like Alison clearly is, one of her leading strengths is this being able to have difficult, awkward, confrontational conversations where other people might not find that as a strength. Quite often, when we are in our strengths, we get the kickback and the buzz from it, for certain, because it's something like, we know we're making a difference, we know we're in our zone, we know we're going to be able to shift the person, the situation, the environment on, we're going to be able to make an impact. So, and we're in our zone, so there's always a kickback. So I wanted to just highlight that if you are in the space with, like Alison, where these things are easy for you, acknowledge that you can allow yourself to go, do you know what? I do get a buzz from those things that other people wouldn't. And that's an acceptance, an allowance, and an awareness of one of the key strengths of who you are.
I love that, because that's absolutely true.
Good.
Certainly for me, it's the difficult conversations are part of the job that I enjoy, because I know the other side of those difficult conversations, that transformation comes. So I see that when I'm talking to clients, it's kind of like, we've got to have those conversations if we want the transformation that you and I both want.
And it's holding that vision, isn't it? There's so many parallels in the work that I do, because some of these deeper conversations that I highlight for people about themselves, they don't want to hear at all. They don't, there's none of it's comfortable. They can say all sorts of things to me at the moment in time, but we're always working towards this common outcome that we're both rooting for. That's the whole thing, isn't it? It's being able to hold that further vision as you navigate through the bumps in the road, shall we say.
Comes back to the integrity, and that's the key driver. We wouldn't do what we do and do what we do well without that core level of integrity, and those conversations absolutely have to happen, difficult or not, whether you are a 6, 7, 8-figure business owner or a multi-million pound corporate client. Those difficult conversations have to take place. Yeah.
So how many of those do you think you have a week or a month? How many times are you like, oh, I'm going to really be in my zone today?
I am known in corporate for being the bull, I think is the phrase that I was used, or the boss, as I was termed the other week, having those difficult conversations. And I think I have them on a daily basis. So the kind of projects we work with are, the smaller projects, and obviously the million and billion pound corporate client projects. So they are ingrained. I think it is because we have them so frequently, and I have them so frequently in the business. It's just the norm. And I think it goes back to what you're saying, the more you do something and the more you constantly do something, the easier it gets. If only I was that confident when I was speaking, I think you'd see a very different person, but I'm working towards it.
Well, you're reflecting it beautifully, because you've just highlighted that that's what you've done in one area of your life, so you can easily do it in another. If you give yourself permission to, and if you work through all the stuff that's holding you back on that particular thing. So let's talk a little bit briefly about how you work with people. How can people get in touch with you, and what are the sort of things you offer for people to...
So we're diverse. We're diverse as a business. So it's the Online Business Association, www.theonlinebusinessassociation.com. We have 3 parts to the business. We have the agency, which is the one-to-one consultancy. We currently have a 2-year wait list for some of the services on that alone. We also have we provide teams into clients. So the clients that I've told you about today, not everybody has a team, so they might be looking to build a team. What can happen is we can put our team into their business, build their processes up, build what they want to do, and then we will recruit their own team for them, and then step out. So they're literally running as they operate. We have the online side, which is online learning. So everything that clients get with me on a one-to-one, I put into our online business managers course. So that alone gives them all the processes. There's over £100,000 worth of contracts alone in that course. And then we have, so we've got agents, we've got on the online side, and then we've got working in groups as well. So there's lots of opportunities. The best thing I'd say to people is I'm not going to try and sell something to people. I want them to explore what is on offer. We've got plenty of downloads on the website, free resources. Go and have a look at those. And obviously, anybody who comes in through you, they can get the service contract. So worth £1,000. So I'll provide the link to you guys, and you can have that with pleasure.
Thank you so much. How generous. I love that. Thank you. All of the details that Alison has talked about will be in the show notes. So with the link that she's just mentioned, which definitely go and do that, because like Alison has just said, it's worth £1,000 and it's going to help you and save you lots of money in the future as well if you haven't got yourself covered in that one. And that, like Alison said, there's lots of free downloads. So if you're just listening to this episode and you're thinking, you're imagining yourself being in that seat listening to Alison's talk and the fear is rising, you're like, do you know what? I've really got to get a handle on it. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Go to the website, go and look at some of the free stuff. Take yourself into a space of clarity. Don't freak out. Just take your time, work through some of the free stuff. When you're in a space, book a call and see what's aligned to where you are in your business. If you're starting out, look at some of the free stuff. If you're a bit further on, there might be some this group one or this course. There might be some other things. You've got to wait over 2 years if you want Alison one-to-one, but there will be other things that I am 100% convinced to be able to meet you where you are at this moment if something feels misaligned that you've really got to get covered.
I think it's understanding where you are at in business as well. So many people go for courses, they'll go to one-to-ones, they'll coach hop, as I call it. You don't need to do that. You really, really don't. Everything that I do with one-to-one clients is in our courses. There's a lot to be said for self-help as well. And not using other people as a crutch in your own business, which is another topic entirely. So I would always say, take the free resources, take whatever you can. If you want a conversation, please reach out. For us, it's about what's right for you as an individual. So you'll never get sell from us at all.
Love. Maybe that's our next episode together, talking about self-help. That's a whole different topic. I'd love that. Yeah. So the last question that I ask all of my guests is about what's a book that has made an impact to you in your life, either around becoming fearless or just how it's helped you shape your life today.
I've got a beautiful one for you. So this one is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. So in that, she talks about the 3 levels of fear. You've got the surface story, so that's things like the fear of things that happen to us. You've got the fear of things that require action. Second level, it's all about the ego, so the fear of rejection, and obviously that's rife with me. All of that kind of stuff, fear of success, fear of failure, which is a lot of business owners. And then you've got level 3, which goes right down to the core issue. What is the biggest issue that you're dealing with? And she has, I think, 5 truths. I'm going to try and remember them now. Fear never goes away. So as long as you grow, it's never going to go away. You need to have that acceptance. Do something about it to get rid of the fear. So me getting on stage, my attempt to get rid of the fear. To feel better about myself, you've got to go and do the things to help tackle the fear. Everyone experiences fear is number 4. So that was an eye-opener for me. Everybody feels it. Those people who were the other side of that stage watching were having their own levels of fear. And then pushing through is less frightening than living with the fear. So that would be my choice for readers to look at. And it fits beautifully with Becoming Fearless.
And it's super juicy and nobody said it as yet. So I love it. And I haven't read it. So I'm like, what's going on there? I really need to read that book.
Get the book. It's really good.
I am going to get the book. Is there anything else you would like to share about anything that we've talked about or anything that you want to add? Or are you all, do you think
I'm going to back because I think there are lots more topics we can talk about. Lots more.
Love this. I think there are absolutely lots more. I have really, really enjoyed this conversation. I've loved where we've gone with it. I've loved the connection that we have. Hopefully people listening have picked up on that. And like Alison and I say, we'll be back doing another topic that that we will decide in a few months' time. And there might be a series coming out. But thank you so much for your time. I've really appreciated it. And like I say, all the notes to get hold of Alison will be in the show notes below. Head to her website if you want to find out more. So take care, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling energized, fearless, and inspired to take action today to stand in your greatness. I share even more tools and resources on my I Dare to Leap email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the I Dare to Leap products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of Becoming Fearless energy. Sign up now at www.idaretoleap.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes below.